A Human Rights Commission report has found that new VIP toilets built in the Eastern Cape schools do not meet the necessary standards to be classified as safe. Now, the Provincial Education Department and Basic Education Minister announced last month that only about 100 schools still had to eradicate pit latrines. Let's speak now to SA Human Rights Commission head in the Eastern Cape, Dr. Eileen Carter. Good morning. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Morning, Mr. Chaba. Morning to the viewers.
Firstly, Doctor, thank you for taking the time to speak with us about this concerning report. Your commission is raising serious concerns about the new VIP pit toilets being installed in the Eastern Cape schools. Can you elaborate on what specifically is causing such alarm?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaba. Yes. Well, as we know, this is a conversation that we've had so many times for so many years, is that what we call traditional pit toilets infringe on the right to dignity and in some instances, the right to life of learners when they try and access their right to basic education in terms of Section 29. So in eradicating traditional pit toilets, and we will come to the commitment that was made in that respect as well, in eradicating these traditional pit toilets, what the department has done and what is a recognized form of improved sanitation is they have also rolled out VIP pit latrines, the improved ventilated pit toilet. However, when the Human Rights Commission did a little bit of a sample test and also looked at the recent deaths in the province in the past few years, we realized that 2 out of 3 of these deaths took place in VIPs. Now, when we did our little bit of a roll call, we went down to see that, in fact, these VIPs were not age appropriate, they were not safe. So we were basically replacing one unsafe system with another, and we're failing to protect young children, and that is not progress.
Let's go deeper into this. What specific evidence did your investigation uncover regarding safety failures in VIP toilets, and how do these failures impact learners?
Mr. Chaba, the Commission, as a Chapter 9 institution, we've got 3 mandates. We monitor, we investigate, and we promote human rights. So for years, and that's why I've referred to this being a systemic issue, pit toilet concerns is not new. It goes back as far as Michael Komapi. It is a legacy of apartheid's lack of infrastructure and development in rural areas. So as the Commission, we have noted that this is a systemic issue, and we wanted to do a sample test to see that whether the commitments that are being made by the MECs and the minister, what is in fact happening on the ground. Now, we have to put on the table that there has been immense progress. There has been movement from thousands of schools having traditional pit toilets to now a few hundred being left. But unfortunately, what we are saying is there can still be space for improvement, because the design itself of these VIPs are catered for adult bodies. Now, as you know, foundation phase learners are small, and the design of the VIPs, if they are not in respect, if they are not in line with the norms and standards, if they are not in line with what we saw as the Water Research Commission's report of 2016, it poses a risk of these small learners falling through the ventilated pit latrine, and then, as we saw and also seen from the reports of the deaths of these learners, they will die of asphyxiation in sewage.
All right. Are there any concerns, particularly about transparency and fairness in the tendering process for school sanitation projects in the Eastern Cape?
So I think the AG has been very clear in terms of the findings of what in fact is being spent by departments and what is found on the ground. It was also reiterated by the department in the past week that there might be a disjunction in terms of oversight. So the Commission is not necessarily poised best to make a pronouncement on the procurement processes. That would certainly be the AG and the public protector. But what we can say is sometimes what is being promised by the department is absolutely in line with the norms and standards on infrastructure, the building regulations, perhaps even the Water Research Commission's report. But when we come to the rollout on the ground, there is a little bit of a concern in that respect.
And have there been any instances of corruption or favoritism identified in this process?
See, we would not be the first people who would express concern in terms of implementing agents. You would see in our report, we've also made note of that. We've also reflected on the comments of the department itself, having been concerned in the efficiency behind how the processes are currently rolled out. In terms of corruption, in terms of inefficiency, in terms of the quality of the product being almost jeopardized in favor of quantity. That is what the Commission has found. And moving forward, we certainly hope that we have put a spotlight again on an issue that is definitely not new, but we need to bring new solutions to these old problems. And that is why the Commission has been requesting and is requesting the department to issue a circular to say, ensure and certify that even when you roll out these ventilated improved fit latrines, that they are conducive to the safety of the learners that will be using them, specifically the foundation phase learners, so that we don't violate their right to basic education, dignity, and ultimately their right to life.
Doctor, you speak of solutions. You've also criticized the department's budgeting priorities in this context. I mean, how do you believe that the allocation of resources could be improved to prioritize the safety and dignity of learners?
Mr. Chaba, the Commission is not ambivalent about this at all. Human rights budgeting, have a look at what the Bill of Rights say. Have a look at what certain sections in terms of socioeconomic rights say, which are progressively realizable and which rights are immediately enforceable. It is the rights of children that require a sense of priority to reprioritize funds so that we make sure that their rights are not infringed upon. So Section 28, Mr. Chaba, best interest of children. Section 29, basic education access rights. We need to make sure that when we speak about children, budgets are then ring-fenced for their rights to be safeguarded. And we can also extend that to the rights not to starve to death. Malnutrition report in the province has been issued almost 2 years ago, and we're still sitting with a policy that needs to be rolled out. So the Commission is really very clear about this. Human rights budgeting, previously it was called pro-poor budgeting. We need to look at the rights that needs to be enforced right now and budget accordingly.
Now, your report highlights the Eastern Cape Education MEC Fundile Gade's claim that the province is 100 or so schools away from eradicating traditional pit toilets. Now, do you believe that this statement reflects the true picture of the situation on the ground?
I think there might be a few technicalities to unpack there, you know, which schools still have unsafe sanitation facilities, which may have been reprioritized. Now, that would mean that the school is in fact no longer being used. The children have been moved because there were too few learners in that area. And sometimes those schools may still have those facilities, and it would be a little bit futile to now improve a structure that will not be serving to access education. But the Commission has also heard and can confirm that that number might not be as low as 100. In fact, it's more around 400, but it would be up to the department to come and differentiate between which of these facilities are actually, in fact, being used and which of these facilities have been now defunct and at the end of the day will not be in use and pose a risk to learners.
Now, Doctor, the report calls for urgent action from the Department of Basic Education. What specific steps are you urging them to take?
So, Mr. Chaba, I've already indicated that a VIP that is too big for a small child is just a pit toilet with another name. So what we are asking from the department, number one, we are also, again, using this report to highlight to Treasury that we need to look at the rights of children. And I've said that repeatedly throughout the session as well. But number two is to issue a circular from the National Department of Education, because we know this, the Eastern Cape is certainly but an example of what is perhaps a systemic issue across the nation. What we are asking is make your implementing agents, your contractors, your schools, your principals, and all of your districts aware of the safety features that have been reported on by the Research Commission almost 10 years ago. We're not saying implement as a whole immediately. What we're saying is have regard to these safety features and make sure that when you roll out what we would deem an improved facility, as opposed to the traditional pit toilet, that these facilities are safe. We cannot afford to lose young lives in pit toilets ventilated, as we have traditionally and in history to the or the traditional pit toilets per se.
All right. And Doctor, do you have the confidence that the Eastern Cape Department of Education will implement the necessary changes to ensure safe and compliant school sanitation facility for all learners?
Absolutely. I'm very positive about the executive in this province. The manner in which they have come to the table, the manner in which they have engaged with the Commission as well. This is an issue that is a very big issue. It is an issue that is infrastructure heavy and which inadvertently would be budget heavy. So we can't be showing and pointing fingers to the Eastern Cape Department if the National Treasury, if the Treasury bodies and decision makers are not providing them with enough funds to eradicate these facilities. So we're asking the broader questions, but we're encouraging all stakeholders to now come to the table so that we can take hands to join what is certainly an issue that should have been addressed years ago.
All right, Doctor, what message would you like to deliver to the MEC regarding his responsibility to prioritize the safety and well-being of learners in the Eastern Cape?
So I think it's more to the general public to say that this is not an infrastructure project. It's a constitutional obligation. The courts have been clear, the Commission has been clear, and if we look to new ways of doing things and we solve our problems with already determined parameters, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can just make sure we implement safety measures because we surely have a responsibility.